Hope Channel, changing lives.
Good evening, and you are welcome to the consulting room. It's our mandate, as we always say, to bring you information concerning your health and my health so that we can make better health choices. We in the consulting room are very happy to come to your screens every Monday at 8 p.m. I have a very short announcement from New Life Hospital. New Life Hospital and Hope Channel have joined forces to present to you the Health and Wellness Summit, coming to you live from Amsda SDA Church, adjacent New Leaf Hospital, Bamiri Road, Techiman, from the 5th to the 7th of March 2022. Topics to be discussed include global burden of disease, a look at communicable diseases and non-communicable diseases, and accidents, blue zones living beyond 100, healthy habits for lifelong wellness, and mental well-being, a look at stress, addictions, and suicide. Speakers include Dr. Morris Mensah, Pastor Kwesi Amwako, and Baba Hammond. The Health and Wellness Summit is brought to you by Hope Channel and is supported by New Leaf Hospital, the Adventist Church, the Advent Press, and Valley View University. The official radio partner is Asta 103.9 FM Techiman. You are welcome to the consulting room.
Thank you.
My beautiful dietitians. So I have here today with me registered dietitian Lydia Annan. I hope I mentioned the name rightly. And her fellow dietitian Angela Adoma Penting. You are all welcome to the consulting room.
Thank you.
I hear you people. Let me say you people. You say you are what you eat. Is it really true?
Sure, it
is. Okay, so I'm going to give us a very short exposition on what would help us when we are making good health choices. So, have you been looking for 100% plant-based milk, dairy-free, cholesterol-free, lactose-free, gluten-free, allergic-free, soya-free, 100% vegetarian with no artificial flavors, colors, additives, or preservatives? Then your best bet is cocoa milk. Cocoa milk is sugar-free, low in calories, low in fats, and good for your well-being. You are guaranteed of plant protein, plant fiber, and plant fats. The good news is cocoa milk is good for every tummy, from toddlers to seniors, including breastfeeding and pregnant women. Even ulcers, diabetes patients, anemic and sickle cell patients. Cocoa milk is approved by FDA Ghana, Vegan and Vegetarian Society in the UK. You can get some from all Melcom supermarkets, from our Valley View shops, from NS Chemist and all trading shops. For enquiries and bulk purchases, kindly call them on 0277 444 0180. 0277 444 0180. So you are welcome to the consulting room once again.
Thank you.
And then so we are advertising cocoa milk too. It's very good. I personally use some, and it has a very nice flavor too. I hope you'll be letting your people drink cocoa milk.
Oh yeah.
All right. So you are welcome again.
Thank you.
Today we are talking about how to basically plan a diet, healthy living. I'm sure we are going to have a very interesting conversation.
Very.
Yes. So what does it mean to be eating healthy? What's basically is a healthy food, or what is a healthy lifestyle in the terms of food?
Okay. So when we say healthy eating, it simply means choosing foods that would give you the nutrients you need, that will provide your body with adequate energy and nutrients of all that you need, would help you to prevent malnutrition in all forms. We say that malnutrition is in two forms, in the sense that you could be overnourished or undernourished. So taking in foods that would prevent malnutrition in all forms and also prevents non-communicable diseases as much as possible, or lower your risk of getting non-communicable diseases, is healthy eating.
Talking about being overly nourished, in a Ghanaian society, you're looking plump, they'll tell you, oh, why you're fine, you're looking good, everything is going well with you. So I think that's also a form of malnutrition from what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay, so what are some of the examples of healthy food choices?
Okay, so we have the various food groups. So we have the starches, we have the vegetables, we have the fruits, and then we have our proteins. So if we are talking about a healthy diet, you are taking all these food groups into consideration. You are not taking one more than the other. And we have portion sizes for each of these food groups. So if at a go, you are taking a particular food and one food group is more than the other, then you know that this food is not healthy. The one that's supposed to be more, if it's lesser in that particular food, then you know that you're not doing the right thing. So your vegetables should be more than your carbs. So if you're taking the carbs more than your vegetables, then it means it's either you're going to gain more energy than your body needs.
But then I would want to eat more rice than the greens. I'm not a goat. That's what most of us say. So does it mean that those of us who take more rice than the stew and the salad that we add, or the fufu in the bowl is taking like 2/3 of the bowl with some little soup, now you're doing a fast food, that one is not really healthy?
So we wouldn't say that any food is bad. All foods are good in themselves. But the portions of what you need is what you require is what you should have. So if somebody is sedentary, the amount of food in the sense that the person doesn't do a lot of physical work,
like somebody with stroke,
doesn't use a lot of energy in whatever activity they do. The person is not doing a lot of that. So
the person is mostly at one place.
At one place. They say that the amount of energy you would need is different from somebody who is doing a manual job.
It's true, because sometimes I see these masons and those artisans, basically. You see them in the morning, they'll go and buy like 2 or 3 balls of kenke or some other starchy food, so much of it, and they'll eat, and they are still as slim fit as...
It's because they expend that energy after eating. But you would take your rice and watch TV after, so your body will store that fat, that's excess energy as fat, then you see yourself gaining so much weight.
We'll have to start exercising. Okay, so is planning one's diet important? Because yes, in our Ghanaian societies, our mothers go to the market. Maybe they wake up, today we are going to have fufu. They don't, or we'll eat banku in the evening. In the morning, is that what you mean by planning a diet, and is it important?
Sure, it's very important. But before we talk about how to plan our diet, we would have to look at, like we started from the beginning, what healthy eating is. So there's a need to make choices in whatever you are eating before you could even plan what you'd want to eat. You get it? So in healthy eating, whilst you are making that conscious effort to make the right choices, then you begin to talk about what you want to plan for. So in making the healthy choices of what you eat, you first have to look at, like Angela said from the beginning, you would have to look at the various kinds of food available to you. How to make those choices from those foods you have, how to balance them, like she said, so that you don't take one food group more than the other, because then you need to have them in proportions that will be beneficial to you. They must equally be in variety, so that you are not having the same food from the same food group.
But in Ghana, all we eat is banku.
Oh, but at least you don't eat banku from Monday to Friday.
Oh, some people can do that.
So
that rural areas, especially.
So that's what I'm saying. So even though you are eating something made out of maize, there are still varieties of whatever you are adding to it. There's a need to make that choice of making it vary. You get it, so that you get different nutrients from different foods. That at the end of the day would make your food choice a healthy one. You get it, Then there is a need to make the balance of choosing them in their right proportions. Then on top of that, you'd have to look at the preparation methods of what you are going to have or consume, so that they are prepared well, they are prepared in the best of states. That will be important and will be
we really need a lot of education on the preparation process and all that entails in the preparation of our foods. Because in Ghana, in our culture, we cook foods for so long. When you watch some of these
Asians,
the Asians, the whites, the Europeans, and how they cook their foods, some of the foods are barely cooked, but then for us everything must touch fire.
So, of course, our culture has an influence on how our things are done. Doesn't necessarily make it wrong, or make it right. It's a matter of acquiring the skill to know how far or how much heat or how much, of course, how much heat to apply to whatever you do. Because on top of all of that, we will look at other things like infections and other things that would come with it. And we know that heat is a good source of getting rid of infections and other things. And so our cooking methods are not necessarily bad. Depend on what we want to do with it. You get it. So it is important to be able to balance all of this and then get it right, so that we get the optimal energy or optimal nutrients that we need from this food. That will be very good for us.
So there's a lot we all need to learn about our foods, basically. Where do we find people like you, dietitians, to be able to guide us into making the right food choices, and also about how to prepare these? Where do we find dietitians?
So dietitians are basically everywhere.
In the hospitals, in schools.
Oh, some schools have dietitians.
Yes.
Hey, example, which school?
We don't
I didn't know
the
that.
private schools, some do have dietitians because they are supposed to plan the diets of the kids. So yeah, dietitians are almost everywhere. In industries, everywhere.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I thought you guys were only in hospitals.
No, so even some communities have dietitians.
I think even FDA would definitely have a dietitian. Because so if they are to review a product like this one, they need a dietitian.
Need expert advice concerning that. So, that's. But then, do we have some in our church, like the SDA church, that
we have dietitians.
not
like
members of the church, but then does the church employ your services?
So I think the church hospital, I think some hospitals should have dietitians.
Okay, so you're everywhere, basically.
Everywhere.
Yes, we are everywhere.
All right. So can you give us some breakfast examples, lunch examples of healthy meals as pertaining to Ghana here?
Okay, for breakfast, you can take your mori koko, the corn porridge, with milk, a low-fat milk, with maybe a slice of brown bread and your vegetable salad. You're good to go. And probably cooked egg or any fish that you can just add to your vegetable salad. You're good to go.
That's a heavy breakfast. They say
some people eat heavy in the morning. No?
So there is no. So like I said from the beginning, there is no one size fits all for everybody. What breakfast options should be?
It could be rice,
the idea is that you make the right choices of what you would want to have, make the healthier choices out of them, and then that is okay. So like she said, Angela mentioned at some point that there's a need to make a choice from the food groups. You get it? So when you're making the choices from your various food groups in their proportions, and that should be okay. So if somebody would want to have wache in the morning, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yes.
If somebody would want to have fufu for breakfast,
it doesn't have to be liquid.
Not
No.
tea. Or
The
No,
problem
not
is what you do after taking the heavy thing in the morning. Because some people eat fufu and they feel like they are tired or you have to sleep. That's what we are talking about. So after taking the heavy thing in the morning, make sure you're going to expend that energy because your body is going to keep it.
Okay. Well, we are learning a lot. I have learned a lot that dietitians are all over. But even as you are learning, we are going to go for a very short break. And when we come back, the conversation will continue. So do well to join us when we come back from the break.
Dairy-free coconut milk. Cocoa dairy-free coconut milk is a fully plant-based milk, non-curdling in tea or coffee, and it's a lovely treat with any breakfast beverage or meal. It contains calcium and vitamin D2 for strong teeth and bones, and vitamin B12 to help boost your blood for vitality. Cocoa is 100% vegetarian and is approved by the Vegetarian Society of UK. It's also lactose and dairy-free, which is good even for people with lactose intolerance. Cocoa, get one today. Cocoa dairy-free coconut milk. Nature's health at your doorstep. For bulk purchases, contact 027-444-0180. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA. Cocoa dairy-free coconut milk.
And then mem into be able to meet Nasi Abrohana. Emma Yare Ajet to say Ayenye Drumpo and son. Send ye but Yatsna every stress, addiction, and suicide. And you see a shot here for fun. And you see a Hope Channel and a New Live Hospital. I come more boom at the Apomodin Jumediabi. Ebeshisheso on the 5th to 8th of March 2022. Make sure a few more. Our New Live Hospital, Bamiri Road, our Techima. Bra, number 10 pennyphobia to say Dr. Morris Manson, Pastor Prince Kwesi Amwako, Mrs. Barbara Hammond, and in pennyphobia will come. Yes, I'm by a free health screening. So, person, so yasne, nearby, no one would the remote, I want to make an asia, and your first 0249 193083. Apomodin Jumedian, na make I will say, and your Hope Channel, and it's so nice. So, a boy phobia was one snake, and a New Live Hospital, Advent Press, Valley View University, and in the Adventist Church. I can say, Fidian so a befa so a Asta FM, Techima. Bra, no Apomodin, a best son.
The consulting room, and today we are talking about basically what we put in our mouth, what we eat to get energy, and we've learned a lot in this very short time that we've spent together. What I have personally learned is that there are dietitians everywhere. They are not only in hospitals. I thought dietitians were only found in the hospitals, but I've been told that they are in schools, they are in some big industries like the companies and all these places. So kudos to you people, but I didn't know. I'm feeling very happy for this information. All right, so we've spoken so far about what a healthy meal is, the benefits of healthy living and everything. There's this term that we throw around. I'm doing a diet. I'm on a diet. What are some of the things that people misunderstand as a diet? What are some of the common misconceptions concerning diets as we have it in Ghana?
Okay, so when we say diet, it simply has to do with what or the food choices people eat or somebody does habitually. Okay. Then that is a form of diet. A lot of people think, because of our cultural settings, think that carbohydrates are a bad thing. Okay. So that is one of the misconceptions people have, that if you've gained some weight and you need to lose weight, then you have to do away with carbohydrates totally. And that is wrong. Because carbohydrates are a source of energy, and that is the first source of energy that our body uses. And so having carbohydrates in our food is actually good. What we talk about trying to cut down on carbohydrates are what you call the simple sugars, not the complex sugars. So the simple sugars are the sugars we find in our fizzy drinks, in toffees, in some of these things.
So basically the processed.
So the processed foods would come with the simple sugars, and that's what we try to say, as much as possible, cut down on them. But the kind of carbohydrates we find in our rice, in our kenke, in our banku, are not.
So rather the complex sugars
so
are
the complex sugars
we should go for.
So they are not bad. So cutting out carbohydrate totally is not a way to go.
So carbs is not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
Misconception.
It's a misconception.
What are some of the other misconceptions we have?
I think people mostly say that eating late at night makes you gain weight. But the thing is, it doesn't matter the time you eat the food.
Please explain this well before people start eating at 2 a.m.
I'll explain. It's what you eat and then how much you are taking. So if probably around 8, 9, you are hungry and you take vegetable salad, you've not really consumed a lot of calories. You are good to go. But then you take ice cream or chocolate or something. She just spoke about simple sugars. We are trying to cut down on that. So around that time, that is not good for, and probably you wouldn't even walk about for the things to digest more. You just go and sleep or watch TV or something. Just lie in bed and relax. So cutting the time you eat doesn't really matter. Even if it's in the morning and you take more than you're supposed to take, your body is going to store the excess.
So it's not in the night that
it's not in the
fat
night.
is formed.
Yes, so during the day, they get their fat during the day.
Well, everybody seems to have a problem with don't eat at night, don't eat at night. Okay, so thanks for that clarification. So carbohydrates are not bad, and the food is not linked to the time that you eat. The stomach doesn't have a gate, I guess. Okay. So what are some of the diets that are recommended by dietitians? Because I know there are a lot of fad diets around. Some people would take only. I know a lady. She was quite obese. For about 3 months, she took only watermelon. That was all she was taking. And yes, she did lose weight, but then she looked sickly. And I've seen some people that they eat all sorts of foods. I guess they are healthy choices, and they do lose weight and they look marvelous. So what are some of the good diets and some of the bad diets that people do, so that we can have a clarity in mind when we decide to join these things?
Okay, so with dieting, we've said that a healthy diet is one that is balanced. You need food from all the various food groups because they all provide you with different kind of nutrients that your body needs. So having carbohydrates, it's okay. Having proteins in your healthy proteins in your food is okay. Having healthy fats in your food is okay. Having food that comes with some amount of fiber is okay for you. You get it. And so there is no need to eliminate or take out some food group because you would want to probably lose weight. So the lady you said was taking watermelons may have lost the weight, all right, but cannot maintain it because you can't eat watermelon all your life. You would have to eat other things because you would need, because the other nutrients you need for your body to function, you've denied them of it. So you can't do that for a very long time. So that's what the fad diets usually do. Of course, if it is for weight loss, for most people, you would end up losing their weight, but you'll not be able to maintain it. And then in doing that too, you are denying your body some essential nutrients that you need from all the other food groups that you have taken out of them. And so healthy eating, choosing foods from the various food groups to make a balanced diet to have is the best to go.
Okay, so this question, why is going on a diet so expensive?
People make it expensive. It's not expensive because our local foodstuffs are not that expensive. If, for instance, you put somebody on a diet that's supposed to help the person reduce their blood sugar, these fiber foods, we have them on our local markets. They are not that expensive. It's the ones that we don't really seek for advice from nutrition experts. So it's like you see people do it and you just go in for it, like the keto diet, for instance. I hear people say it's expensive. I have a friend who orders his breakfast, lunch, supper on Instagram. Definitely it's going to be expensive. But then if you see a dietitian and then they show you the various groups, the food groups that you can get on the markets, I don't think that will be expensive for you.
Okay, yeah. So it's not supposed to be expensive.
It's not supposed to be expensive.
Okay, maybe I'll come and see you guys for diet advice, because I've tried a couple, and personally I've tried some of these fat diets. I'll lose a couple of kilos or pounds, then it'll just come rushing back. But then when I decide to stick to eating well with this little knowledge that I have, it works better for me. And people will see you and tell you, your skin is looking so nice, you are looking bright. Okay, well, I hope all those of us who are doing these fat diets will stop, because it's not helping us. Well, okay, so how are the various foods for the diets we go on? How are they selected? How do you go about it? Is there a formula you put in? What do you do about the selection?
Okay, there are healthy eating guidelines. Okay. I think Ghana doesn't have, right? So which
guideline does Ghana?
We have the My Plates, and then we have the pyramid, the Eat Well guide. Yes. So it comes like a picture. It shows the portion sizes for each of the food groups. So you have your vegetables more than your grains, your cereals, your carbs, and then you have your protein and then your fruits. So if you are telling somebody about their diet, that's what you're going to use to explain to the person. So there's no formula or anything that we say it's like 2 grams of protein or anything like that. No. Unless maybe we are putting the person on a special diet, yeah, the one that will provide the person with their physical needs. Maybe the person has veins, and now we have to increase their protein intake. That way we have to do calculation. You don't just say we are increasing their protein intake. If I give the person 2 eggs, that means I'm increasing their protein intake. We do calculations with that person's.
So these are the specialized.
Yeah, these are the
diets.
Specialized ones. We sit down to calculate it.
But then the generalized diets, we have some guidelines.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So for every individual, your level of activity determines what you need at a point in time. And so there are guidelines, of course, to how much of what you should consume. Okay. Generally, we say that to eat healthy, when you take your plates, you could divide it into 2 whole parts. Half of that should be filled with fruits and vegetables. The other half, you are filling a quarter of that with your whole grains. Then the other half of that, you are filling it up with your proteins. So that is a basic idea for everybody that would want to eat well. And then this, most of the times when we talk about vegetables, people think about the exotic ones that are expensive.
Pumpkin,
but that is not it. All our, whatever we call vegetable in Ghana is a vegetable. Okay. You get my point? So tomatoes makes a vegetable or a fruit. Your peppers, your onions, your okros, your contomere, your cabbages all make vegetables. So it must not be anything that is unheard of, or unless you go to a special place before you could purchase them. In addition to all of that, too, your eating times are important, because what you are going to consume, the time you are going to consume will determine how your body is going to use it. So if you eat and in the next 5-10 minutes you are off to bed, your body is not really going to use up that energy you've got into. It will convert to fat and stock. So probably you didn't eat too much per what you had seen on your plate, but you didn't utilize the energy you got out of it.
Yeah. Okay.
So it wouldn't be helpful.
Oh, okay. We are learning a lot. We all have to learn to make better food choices, I guess. And cocoa milk is giving us a very good option. No added sugars, no additives. It's vegan friendly. It's vegetarian friendly. FDA has approved. It's good for everybody, from babies to the elderly. So I think we can add it to our diets as we go on. We are going to go on a very short break again, and when we come back, you can join the conversation by either calling us on 055 968 006. You can call us on this number or send us a text message or a message on WhatsApp, and if it's a question, our beautiful dietitians here would help us answer them. So do well to join us when we come back from this commercial break.
Cocoa dairy-free coconut milk. Cocoa dairy-free coconut milk is a fully plant-based milk, non-curdling in tea or coffee, and it's a lovely treat with any breakfast beverage or meal. It contains calcium and vitamin D2 for strong teeth and bones, and vitamin B12 to help boost your blood for vitality. Cocoa is 100% vegetarian and is approved by the Vegetarian Society of UK. It's also lactose and dairy-free, which is good even for people with lactose intolerance. Cocoa, get one today. Cocoa dairy-free coconut milk. Nature's health at your doorstep. For bulk purchases, contact 027-444-0180. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA. Cocoa dairy-free coconut milk.
In this 21st century, is living beyond 100 possible? Are chronic diseases reversible? How can we live a stress, addiction, and suicide-free lifestyle? It's time for a new start. Hope Channel, in partnership with New Life Hospital, presents to you the Health and Wellness Summit from the 5th to the 8th of March 2022 at the New Life Hospital, Bamiri Road, Techiman. Come and hear from Dr. Maurice Mensah, Pastor Prince Kwesia Mwako, Mrs. Barbara Hammond, and many others. There will be free health screening. For sponsorship and product display during the event, call 024-919-3083. The Health and Wellness Summit is brought to you by Hope Channel and sponsored by New Life Hospital with support from the Advent Press, Valley View University, and the Adventist Church. Official radio partner, Asta FM, Techiman.
Mapping couldn't be set a full crime. Meaning, I say, a baba and one way in Kenya. Yates and a member from the former and one mamma or one Messagana conference, a cow on Mabomo. My share a cuckoo. I want to enter a bravo Muslim. Benada, Benenda, Dick, because in the Quesia, Benenda, it's also see our simple share. And you know, so we need, or bow was to buy power armory. Melco, you might move to Tnending, Dindy, and Nago bring pride in some of Tosusia. And in the four belong to so rare, you're Christiana, at an important. Nepasta Isaac Amwansa, Nema, Me Patricia Glago. Ye best answer no Numa, Sika some want to ye, Apomodane near Kekan. Ye best answer near yes, a mena, Adokodoko dear, I adequate aye. A dry dish shaking for ye. Hope TV, Jumedia, what today, or Bapa, when he tells them the same. Baba, Jumedia, Asibi. A man in an anony or rare Jemima upon necessary Jumedia. A software Jumedia, see one so and a Pastor Daniel Dan, so Pastor Emmanuel in Katia. So, pay Jumedia Munche Mumbiara, Freya one way so. And I share it was Zoom, I bet for Panso.
Consulting room. So as we earlier said, we are having a very nice discussion, conversation on how to plan our diet, and a very nice conversation on healthy eating and healthy food choices in general. So if you have any question or if you have any suggestion, anything at all, you can text us on WhatsApp or call us on 055. You can text us or call us on 055 968 006. 055 968 006. Okay, so back to the conversation. We've talked about healthy eating, diet. Is it really important to plan it? Can't I just freestyle? Whatever I feel like eating today, I'll just eat. Is it important to plan our diet?
Sure, it's very important. In fact, everyone needs to plan what they eat. The importance of planning diets entails a lot. For example, when you plan your diet, it would help you to make the right choices of the foods that you are going to eat, meaning that you are going to get various nutrients or different nutrients from the different foods that you are going to eat. And that will be helpful to help you to maintain or have a healthy body. Would also help to prevent some of the communicable diseases that are all over the place.
When you say communicable, what do you really mean?
So non-communicable diseases are diseases that are not transmitted from one person to the other, like the way we have COVID being an infectious disease that you can just transfer to someone. With non-communicable diseases like diabetes, hypertension, the cancers, the strokes, having cardiac problems, or what we usually would say is the person has heart attack or something, all comes with
they are all non-communicable
diseases, and our diet plays a role in it because we have said from the start that we are what we eat. And so if we don't make the right food choices, they may lead to some of these things. Making good health choices or good eating choices would also be very important or essential to the individual, because when you don't eat well, you would easily fall ill. When you fall ill, it's not just you. You could think about all the other things it could do. It could affect your family's income. It could affect how your family's work rate or everything that goes on in your house happens. Take, for example, if the mother is not well because she was probably not eating well, who is going to take care of their children? How are they going to go about their things in their house? That is affected. So the family is already strained, even with helping. Then the cost comes in, because if you need to visit the hospital all the time because you are not well, it means that the family's economic activities are affected, finances are affected as well. If you are always ill, it also means that you can't work efficiently, and some facilities would lay you off if they think that you are falling ill too often and they are not getting the best out of you. And so it is very important to plan our diet. It's also important to plan our diet because as Christians, God expects that from us. Because our bodies are God's temples. And so He expects us to have a healthy lifestyle. God is interested in the food we eat.
He created it, so
He's equally interested in the food we eat. Paul says that our body is a temple of God, and so we need to take good care of our bodies as well.
And I think it saves time, because you know, in the morning you're going to eat this, in the afternoon you're going to eat this. So when it's time, you just put it on fire and prepare it. But when you don't know where you're supposed to eat, you just spend hours sitting down, ask yourself, what should I eat? What should I eat? What should I eat? It also prevents food wasting, because if you go to the market to buy, you have a list, you go to buy everything, you know how you're going to use all these food items. So it prevents all those kind of things.
I think I can chip in this, that it might make you a bit more disciplined. Because you have a structure that you are following, and if it becomes a habit, maybe it can translate into other aspects of our lives. Okay, well, we will all start planning our diets very soon. We'll come for pro bono. Anyway, so we have some of our viewers sending in their questions. So this is from Ebenezer, who is watching us from Savannah region, Damango. I really like this program, the consulting room. Please, doctor, my question is, I want to know whether Maggi Cube and Onga is good for adding to our meals or not. Thank you, and may God richly bless you and your panelists.
Okay. So we will not try to slander any brand because they are there for a reason. But we call this kind of products monosodium glutamate. What they simply are another version of salt. And we spoke about trying to have a balance in everything that we are eating. And so it also means that having too much salt in our foods will not serve us the right purpose. And so if we are adding salt to our food for taste, then there is no need to add some of these things to our food as well, because then it makes it an excess and would lead to some of these non-communicable diseases we've spoken about.
Okay, so the monosodium glutamate, the what we locally call the spices.
Yes, so the artificial spices that we add to food. So not all kinds of spices. The natural spices are good to add to food. But the artificial spices
flavor.
Yes. So the artificial spices are what we are discouraging from misusing.
Okay. So another question. He says, "Good evening, doctors. Please, how can I balance my diet daily?" I think we've been hammering on it, but then if Abna, if you can hammer on it again for this person.
Okay, so we have the various food groups. We have your carbohydrates, your protein, your vitamins, your vegetables, and then your fruit. So you make sure every time you eat, you're selecting your food from each of the food groups. It shouldn't just be one all the time, and it should be from the variety should also come in. So if it's vegetables, it shouldn't always be probably cabbage, consomme. You should take other ones so that you get the various nutrients. Yeah, I think that's
so that's how we can balance it.
Yeah,
variety,
and from all the groups.
Okay.
Yes,
you take a bit from here, you add a bit from here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. Someone also has a question that you mentioned healthy proteins. What do you mean by that?
Okay, I think that is a very good question to ask. When we talk about proteins, they come from our fish, our meats, our poultry, and then milk. And then we have those are the animal-based proteins. And then we have the plant-based proteins from our nuts and seeds, and our nuts and seeds and legumes. They make up our plant-based proteins. And so something like beans is a plant-based protein, and that is fine. So for animal-based proteins, they come with a lot of saturated fat. So saturated fats are simply fats that
like that, yeah. Explaining before we ask.
So our saturated fats are usually oil fats that's easily curdled in room temperature. You get it. So for example, when you take a chicken, the skin or under the skin, you find a lot of fats that are whitish and in big patches. Those are what we call saturated fat, and so those ones are not very healthy for us. And so when I talk about healthy proteins, they are proteins from our plant-based sources, or if they are from our animal sources, as much as possible, we are done away with the saturated fats of them. So like your lean meat or lean poultry.
So lean meat means
no
meat
fats
without fat.
Lean protein. Yes. Lean poultry also means
the poultry without the fat in it.
Okay. So Emmanuel from Nkenkasu, I'm sorry if I got the name of the town wrong. He says he wants a sample diet for a sinus patient.
No, so that cannot be done.
Yeah,
generally, there's no general diets or there's no one size fits all for each person. But foods that are high in antimicrobial foods, so like your garlics, your gingers, and then a lot of fruits and vegetables would help to clear some of these things. But Emmanuel needs to see a dietitian to have a specific meal plan or a specific diet plan for him to help his condition.
Okay, that's good to know. So we spoke about preparation of food. This is going back to our questions.
Sure.
And packaging of food. How does this affect our diet? What should we do when we are preparing it and packaging? What are some of the good practices that we can employ when we are preparing and when we are packaging these foods the diets that we plan?
Okay, so we first talked about having a healthy diet. So when we've made the choices from these foods, then we have an idea of what we would want to have, and then we can plan towards it. So when we've made the choices of what we would want to have for breakfast, what we would want to have for lunch, what we would want to have for supper, what we would want to have for snacks, that includes our fruits and our vegetables and everything else, then we could make a grocery list of what to buy. When we go to the market, it is important to buy our fruits, our vegetables, our whole grains, our proteins.
Some people can be there in the whole year. They've taken fruits like twice. I know some people, they'll tell you, oh, it doesn't really come to mind that I should take a fruit. It doesn't really come to mind that I should take a vegetable. Well, I think that's also a bad thing.
So when we make the list of the things we need to buy, then when we are buying them, we could put that into consideration. So we buy whole grains, our fruits, our vegetables first. And then we could buy the other things like our canned foods, so that we don't spend all our money buying the things we need to store, that we don't need so much of than the other things that we need.
Someone was just saying that we only eat the fruits when we are sick. When we are going to visit the sick in the hospital, then we send the fruits. That's bad. It's good, but it's bad.
Yes, it's a bad habit. We need to make it as part of other things we do.
Okay. Also, when we go to the market, we shouldn't buy those that have been exposed to the sunlight for so long.
Okay.
You can actually buy from those who are inside, because some of these vitamins, heat destroy them.
Okay.
So you think you are eating vegetables, you are eating fruits, you definitely get your vitamins, but already it's been destroyed before you bought it from the market to the house. So let's also check these things.
Okay. So we have 3 questions that I would want us to address from our viewers. Someone says, please, I learned that soya bean must not be taken too much because I'm vegetarian. Because I'm vegetarian, my mom wants me to take it often. Please, what is your advice for me?
Okay, so like we said, there's no hard and fast rule about what is good and what is bad. The frequency, the consistency of what you are taking makes the difference. There are other sources of protein for the vegetarian as well. So not that soya bean is not good, but like we say, for everything, too much of everything is bad. So he could still have, or she could still have, the soya bean, but could also have, soya bean is not the only source of protein for vegetarians. There are lentils, there are beans,
which are available on
which are very available on the market. You get it.
I hear cowpea too.
Yes. So they all make part of the plant-based protein for the vegetarian as well. So the individual could incorporate some of these things in his meal, so that it doesn't become, like we said, there is a need for variety. Then it doesn't become a one-way kind of source of protein.
So on to our next question. Good evening, Doc. I'm blood group O person. Are there any types of food I should not eat? There's been this teaching that if you are AB, don't take maize, don't take this. Please, what is your dietitian's take on this?
I think there are no studies to really back these things. So just the healthy eating is good for everybody, because if I take vegetables, the kind of vitamins I'm getting from there, I think it doesn't matter the kind of blood group I am. It's definitely going to help the body. So yeah,
a lot of these alternate medicine people, unfortunately, they push these
on TV,
these things.
radio stations.
So the other day I was having a conversation with somebody, and what came to my mind was our forefathers, our grandmothers, they didn't know their blood groups. If you are allergic to something, you know you are allergic, so you don't take it. It's not dependent on your blood group. But then if you are AB, you are O or whatever, I don't think they'll tell you that don't eat maize because of your, and they let people avoid the very foods that are common to us, that are on our markets. Then the person's food choice becomes one way, and there isn't variety as we are preaching now. Well, on to the next question. Hope TV, I'm Love from Kumasi. I'm a very slim lady. My doctor said I have little blood in me. Please, which kinds of food can I eat to gain blood?
Okay, so the fact that she's slim is not the bone of contention. There are people who are equally huge and still have low blood. So if per the doctor's investigation, there are no other conditions that may be causing the individual to have low blood, and it has to do with their diet. Then if the person is eating right, eating healthy, it should help. Our greens, when I talk about our greens, our kuntum rice and our boko boko and our okros are good sources of iron that helps to the body to make enough blood. Taking fruits is also a good thing to do because it will help your body to get some amount of vitamin C. That also helps the body in the making of blood. So taking in the greens, taking in healthy proteins, or the good source of proteins you spoke about, and then taking in fruits to provide the body with some amount of vitamins that would help the individual. But the individual also needs to see a dietitian to help to basically
everywhere.
to help know what specifically the problem is, and then could help them out.
All right. So Love from Kumasi, please go and see a dietitian in the hospital or in your facility if you have some. So another question says, good evening, please help me. I have ulcer. I guess it's stomach ulcer, and I have treated it for years, but it is not going. Please, what should I eat and what should I not eat? What should I do? This is from Nana Mensa.
Okay.
What are you thinking?
Okay. So what Nana Mensa needs to do is first to see a dietitian. That is very important. But basically, ulcers are wounds or sores that are not dying off. That's why we are calling them ulcers. So now Mensa needs to watch out what he's eating that gives him triggers or whatever makes the pain worse off. There is no specific food that is.
They tell you that don't take lemon juice. Don't eat this. It has too much acid. Don't take orange.
The amount
you have
of acid in our stomach
is more than what I even consume.
It's really higher than what we take.
So it's not the one orange that I'll take that will.
No. So different foods give different triggers for the individual. So he needs to watch out or study himself or take what I'll call a food diary to try to write down the kind of foods that he eats and gets pain. Sometimes even the way of eating. Sometimes we are in a hurry, so we just eat hurriedly and then gobble it down and then go. May give somebody a trigger to make that. Or probably the food is too hot or too cold. So he needs to see, but he needs to work with a dietitian to help him out.
So this is from another person. He says, I'm in my late 60s. How often can I eat avocados? And is it also okay to take Milo at night? This is from the same person.
Okay, so avocados are healthy sources of fats. It's good. It has vitamins. So she can take it. But the Milo has sugar. The sugar content is really high. And she's probably taking a lot, about maybe 3 to 4. I wouldn't advise her taking the Milo because the sugar content
take a night cup. They must always.
The sugar content is too much. Yes.
Okay, so the other thing I would add up to that is what she does after taking the Milo.
Yes.
It's also important. So the Milo as a food is not a bad thing. How much is she adding into her cup to make that snack, bedtime snack she's taking? And after taking the Milo, what is she doing? Is she just sleeping right after that and all that? That is important to take into consideration.
Or the other things she can replace with the Milo. Yes, other healthy things.
So our very last question before we wrap up. This person is watching from Takwa. Please, may I know this thing about blood group? It's really a burden on people's mind, because this is a second question tonight, and it says, may I know if your blood group can determine the type of food you can eat?
So we've Angela mentioned it, and I'm repeating it again. There is no scientific evidence to prove that there is any real importance to your diet in relation to your blood group. What is important is to make healthy choices out of the food that are available to you from the various food groups you have spoken about, and then eating healthy, eating on time, having a variety, making sure there is balance in what you are eating, cutting down on the saturated fats you spoke about, cutting down on too much salt, and then
simple sugars,
and then the simple sugars you spoke about, and that is the most important. Okay. The blood group and diets don't really have any scientific backing.
Okay, so our concluding words to our viewers as we are concluding today's show. If you have anything finally to tell our viewers as we are concluding.
I think one thing I would say is, whenever you decide to go on a particular kind of diet, see a dietitian. Because sometimes there may be other varieties that you wouldn't know, like the person who talked about the soya bean. I'm sure the person is tired of soya beans, because it looks like soya bean is the only source of protein for a vegetarian, but there could be other sources. So speak to a dietitian. It doesn't matter whether you were born into a vegetarian family, your parents already know what they do. Just speak to a dietitian. They know best.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I think we've had a good conversation today, and I would want us to still remember why it is important for us to eat healthy, and then make the right choices out of the foods that are available to us. We said they don't need to be expensive, and the foods in Ghana or our Ghanaian foods are good enough to have at breakfast, at lunch, at supper. And so it's important to just make the right choices, balance them well, and then we'll be in the best of health.
Okay, so this is a disclaimer from the last suggestion I've gotten. Our blood groups are not linked to the foods we eat. If you are allergic to any food, it is because your body, it's because your body, your entire body is allergic to it. It's not because of the blood you have. So you might have O positive and another person might be O positive, and you guys might be allergic to two separate foods. So the teaching about blood group and food, well, consulting room does not go with it. Yeah. There's nothing to back it with. But then if you think it's good for you, nobody would fault you if you go with it. To everybody, their choice. And if it works out for you too, we are glad. We are just here to give you all the scientifically backed information concerning your health, so that you can make better health choices, because we all want to be healthy and live good lives, so that we don't become a burden on our families, the society that we live in, our churches. It can you being unhealthy can even affect your faith. Well, this has been the consulting room. Today we've spoken about how to plan our diets, healthy food choices. We've spoken about food groups, making sure we have variety in our meals. We've had a very wonderful conversation, and most importantly, we've spoken about seeing a dietitian when you need to go on any form of diet. Remember to take a lot of cocoa milk. When you go to the dietitian, tell them that they should look into it for you, so that you can take it as well. And if you are in Techiman or in the environs of Techiman, be reminded that New Leaf Hospital, in collaboration with Hope Channel, is going to host a program. Do well to keep in line with the COVID-19 protocols, and make sure to join us next week, Monday. It's been a very good evening.